And Globe Life Insurance. There's a new kid in town as Jason Kidd takes over as head coach, leading Luka Doncic, KP, and the rest of the Mavs into a new season full of high expectations. Get instant hot hoops opinions with the voice of the Mavs, Mark Followill, the ticket's own hero of the hardwood, Justin Montemayor, and Mavs in the know-it-all, Brian Tamaris. Now on Sports Radio 96.7 and 1310, The Ticket.
Yeah. Wow.
I think your mic's off. There we go.
Now we do
There
it.
we go.
I thought I was just on camera. I don't have to worry about
It's a
this
slow
stuff
start.
anymore.
It's okay. It's about how we finish.
Let's try again. Yeah. Wow, what a win. Welcome into the Mavs postgame show. I guess the online version.
Yeah, hello Facebook,
Twitch.
hello Internet, Twitch, MySpace,
I don't think we're on MySpace.
Zanga. If you're
going
ever
too
a
far
Zanga
back.
guy,
You need to look forward. You're too far back.
we need to bring back Zanga.
No.
That was some pretty wild times.
No, but yeah, thank you for joining us on Twitch or Facebook or YouTube, however you're watching us. This is the Dallas Mavericks postgame show. We are on here tonight due to stars on the stations proper, so we will be doing this for 30 to 45 minutes. You have myself, Justin Montemayor. David Mino, of course, is right here.
What's up?
Mark Followill will join us shortly once he cleans himself off because he went nuts.
I need a shower after this one too.
Yeah, he's going to have to towel himself down. But, yeah, we got plenty to talk about tonight because, damn, what a win. The Mavs even the series at 1-1 after they win 110 to 104. So many things to talk about. To be honest with you, at halftime, I was really doom and gloom thinking, I already had like excuses in my mind. I was saying, you know what? The Mavs last year were up 2-0 and came back and won the series, so maybe they can do that if they're down 2-0. But then the second half became the extension of the Jalen Brunson show because he had a great first half, but he was the only one. And then Maxi Kleber. This guy that they saw tonight is not the same Maxi Kleber we've seen this year. This Maxi Kleber obviously was making shots. He had 25 points. He was 8 of 11 from the field, which, by the way, were all threes. And he was, like I said, between his stroke, between his confidence and his aggression, he was attacking Rudy Gobert at the rim. He was a completely different person. And honestly, I don't know if Kid was like listening to you or something, but you pointed out what would be the best strategy for them like 20 seconds before Kid implemented it, which was using Maxi as the only big with the rest of the regular starting five. So basically just sub in Maxi for Powell, because if Maxi can knock down shots like he did tonight, then now you can force Gobert out of the paint to chase Maxi out to the perimeter, and that leaves Brunson and Dinwiddie room to operate, and then the whole offense opens back up. You can at least now go back to what you had with Luka.
Yeah, even if he's not going insane like he did tonight,
yeah,
he's still a guy that'll, if he's in the corner, if he's out on the perimeter, if he has an open shot, yeah, he had a bad post-All-Star break. I think he made 9 threes in the month of March, and he made 8 tonight. But just having him out there, you have to have a body on him, or he's gonna take a shot. It's not gonna be the Josh Green treatment that we saw in the first half and in game 1, where they'll have Hassan Whiteside stand in the paint and just, if you want to shoot it, shoot it. But yeah, to take Gobert out of the paint changes the Jazz up defensively completely. Because in the first half, as you were talking about how you weren't feeling good about it, I definitely wasn't. It seemed a lot like game 1 to me, where it was close. It wasn't a blowout. What was keeping them in the game was the Mavs were making 3-pointers. If it wasn't for Jalen Brunson in the first half, then they would have been down 15 or 20 points in the first half, and it would have been game over at halftime. But thank goodness for Brunson.
Yeah, we had another good half from Donovan Mitchell in the first half. So
yeah, which they didn't give you in game 1. Which he and Brunson both had 21 points in the first half tonight, and to catch him with only 2 in the first half of game 1 was they didn't take advantage of that, even though Bogdanovich was their hot player, which that's kind of a scary thing about the Jazz is they do have a superstar offensive player with with Donovan Mitchell, but they also have, if he's not on, they've got a bunch of other guys that can hurt you. And tonight, at halftime, and you were up here and you and I were watching the game in the second half together, of when Maxey started getting going, when they started moving the ball better, when it wasn't just – I mean, that was one maddening part about the game, was when they would have their two ball handlers on the court with Dinwiddie and Brunson, and there would just be no passes. They would just try to get to the basket, and if they'd miss it, it would just be a bad possession.
Which I was kind of worried that Brunson was a victim of his own success on that front. Like, I was thinking, is he saying I was playing so well in the first half, I have to take over here in the second half again? But yeah, they were him and Dinwiddie were finally able to realize we're a lot better whenever we can move the ball around. That's what worked for them whenever Luka's been out this year in the games they've won. They become a free-flowing offense that doesn't really rely on sets or one person igniting everything. You're just constantly moving. And when they were finally able to not only come back from it seemed like constant 7-point deficit they had in the fourth quarter and actually build a lead of their own, it was what we talked about just a second ago. Kleba on the perimeter with Gobert out there, and then Brunson or Dinwiddie driving and kicking to an open three. Whether that was that disgusting no-look pass that Brunson had to Dorian, or the number of times they hit Kleba, but it finally opened up the offense, and it seemed like it took, 7.5 quarters for them to realize the best way to tackle Utah. Now, that is super reliant on Maxey being able to make a shot, because if this was Maxey of 2 weeks ago, that they're not, even Maxey himself is not confident and the defense is not worried about him, things are different. But when you have to worry about even an average Maxey, not the one that's on fire like tonight, it's a completely different offense. I kind of wonder if Luka doesn't play game 3. I'm still kind of 50-50 on whether or not I think he'll play. I wonder if Maxey goes into the starting lineup. I think if Luka plays, they'll keep Dwight Powell just for his 1-2 game with Luka. But if Luka sits game 3, I could very easily see Kleba inserted.
Yeah, and this is just something I've thought of the whole week. I'm sure all Mavs fans have, but just the Luka effect of just watching the games without him. And even though they played outstanding tonight, he changes the game in every way. Like we all said, Bob said it first, of he's the team's leading rebounder, so he's going to grab you rebounds, and that's been a big issue in this series. Even though, give him credit, in the fourth quarter down the stretch, they were grabbing defensive rebounds. Yeah, to end those possessions. And
that's the only thing
shorten the game.
I think that like tonight is the reason that they didn't or couldn't have won by more, because I do think they're playing good defense. They're just giving up awful second and even a few times third chance points. Like there was the possession in the fourth quarter where they prevented or caused 2 bad looks from Utah, but they got the offensive rebound. And that possession, I think, ended up with a Donovan Mitchell and 1. So it's literally just the rebounds on the defensive end that's hurting them. And I don't know how, this isn't something like Maxey knocking down shots I think they can fix on the fly. I know Boban was floated out after game 1. We talked about that for a minute. I think the cons outweigh the pros there. I mean, if you want to talk about opening up the lane, you're not doing that with Boban. So you're just going to have to pretty much chalk it up to, especially when Luka's out, you're going to lose rebounding. But if he's in there, hopefully you can keep it to within 20 rebounds each time. But yeah, there's so many things to talk about. One, Brunson, what he's going to get paid, even if it's just from this game. Him scoring 41 points, he's. I
mean, he got the MVP chance in the arena during those free throws
of round 1.
I was like, I think they're saying MVP.
They were,
which I love it.
They were.
It was a very engaged crowd. We got plenty of refs you suck, which we got that in the first half. We got that last game.
Refuse yuck.
Refuse yuck. As Mark pointed out.
Right. Yeah, that's right.
We can say that now. It was refs you suck.
Yeah, we can.
We're on Facebook. We can say whatever.
And I don't know. This was a very engaged crowd, which I was kind of worried when I was following on Soch, the attendance. It looked like even 10, 15 minutes before the game, it was pretty sparse, but once I started seeing videos start to trickle out, especially in the fourth quarter when things were going crazy, that place was packed and it was loud. Would you agree, Mark?
I would. How could it not be?
I can't see your face, but I'm going to assume
Hi.
you're smiling.
I can see your eyes.
Yeah.
Just having the best of
going?
times.
Can I stand up? This is my first time to do one of these.
Sure.
Yeah.
Are you okay being on camera?
Of course. Yeah. I think I can handle that.
I
don't know.
I think
know
I
what
picked my
the,
nose twice already.
I think we have to put Mark's suit sponsor underneath him there.
Well, we can do that.
What are we wearing today?
From Zara.
Okay.
So, yeah, we're going with the skinny suit tonight, Justin.
Okay.
I forgot.
Justin is also.
I just put on
I like your sweater vest, though.
Well,
Looks
I
good.
figured I'm on camera, so I
Yeah.
had to look cool. So
You're
I
looking
put on
very
a
stepbrothers.
sweater vest. It was the only cool clothes I had.
You're looking very Chandler Bing
Thank
tonight.
you.
Yeah, looks good, man. All right, so what have you guys discussed so far that is pertinent to what went down tonight?
We just kind of bounced around, but one thing we focused on was that Maxey being able to knock down shots opens up their offense in so many ways. It mainly drags Gobert out of the paint.
Right.
And that's how they killed them in the fourth.
Do you guys, I mean, you probably have heard, and we've talked about it, so I know you know this, Justin. You know that, like, Maxey was 19% on threes after the All-Star break, right?
Yeah, and I think Tyler told us before he had 8 threes over the last 7 games in the regular season.
Well, that's kind of what I was going to throw out at
Okay.
you, which was.
Sorry, Tyler cucked you.
No, he didn't. He didn't at all. That's a good number. He had 12 after the All-Star break. Maxey went 12 for 64, I believe is what it was, on threes after the All-Star break. And then he drops 8 tonight. I mean, look, I did not feel good at halftime.
No, I didn't either. We were talking about that too. Yeah.
And Skin said to me after the game, he goes, "Do you feel better than you did an hour ago?" And it's like, well, I didn't think Maxey was going to make 6 threes in the second half.
Yeah.
Because in the first half, it felt like, okay, well, number one, Dinwiddie got in foul trouble late in the second quarter. And it's like Brunson has come to play, but where are they going to get any other offense of significance over the rest of this game to match the fact that you've always got to worry about like a couple of guys on the floor for Utah? And we've said this before, that they've got multiple guys that keep you up at night because of Bogdanovich, Mitchell, Clarkson, was great tonight. I mean, it was better when Conley was on the floor. They were better when Clarkson played. It's like Conley getting in foul trouble was a bad thing for the Mavs because they were better when Clarkson was on the floor because of what he was doing scoring the ball.
Yeah, I literally said that. I said I would be more upset or glad about Conley being in foul trouble if he had done anything through the first 2 games. But, yeah, it was kind of no consequence. But, yeah, I mean, I guess the Brunson thing, I mean, he was the one thing at halftime that I thought, well, I mean, at least he's got, 20-plus points through the first half, but is he going to be able to keep that going?
Mm-hmm.
I kind of worried that he wasn't going to be able to replicate that success, but
well,
he did it.
He didn't replicate it. He had 20 in the second half. Yeah, so
That's
he didn't
true.
replicate his 21.
But he became, I think, a better playmaker in the fourth quarter, too.
Yeah.
I mean, the number of times that he was able to drive into the paint and either finish or find someone on that right corner 3, I mean, he was the igniter of their entire offense. Then the no-look pass to Dorian was one of the best passes I've seen in a while.
Yeah.
That was so insane.
I mean,
So smooth.
you think of that for Luka.
It looks like a Luka pass, yeah.
Luka makes great passes, but for Brunson to be able to make that was awesome, man. And you know what? I asked this to Kleba at the end of our interview on the Bally broadcast tonight, and I know this might seem like kind of a strange thing to bring up on a night when Utah out-rebounded them 50-31.
Out-rebounded by 19 again?
Yeah, for the second straight
time in a row.
game.
Mm-hmm.
I need to see what it is in the fourth quarter, though, because I feel like that in the fourth quarter, it wasn't perfect because obviously there were a couple of second-chance opportunities that came in the fourth quarter, but at least I feel like that they were able to tread water or at least not drown on the glass in the fourth quarter. Maybe they weren't even treading water. Maybe they were just barely keeping their nose above water, but it did not feel like that there was, repeated gut punch baskets by Utah because of second chance opportunities.
I think it was Bertans getting that technical foul against Clarkson that riled him up.
We were debating who would win that fight, if it was Bertans versus Clarkson. I don't
know, man.
It might be close. But yeah, we talked a little bit about the Donovan Mitchell and the third shot opportunity when
that was
Mitchell was that the last second shot opportunity that Dallas gave up? Because, what you were saying.
Well, there was the one out of bounds that went
Okay.
out. There was the one that went out of bounds with like maybe 150-something, 140, 150-something left in the game. That wasn't necessarily anybody grabbing it. It was two Mavs going after it, and they kind of just knocked it out of bounds because it, just nobody was in a position to really cleanly come away with it. But it wasn't perfect by any stretch. But I did at least think down the stretch their rebounding kind of got. There were a lot more one and done possessions, it felt like, for Utah late in the game in this game than there were in the last game.
Which, I think is, I think they played just as good a defense as they did last game. It's just limiting the second chance points.
Yeah.
I mean, they forced Utah to take a lot of contested shots, a lot of scrambling, trying to get inside, shooting it with 2 seconds left. It's just watching Gobert grab a rebound over 4 Mavs can be infuriating.
It can be. And there was one time that literally I felt like that happened.
There was all 5 Mavs at one point. All 5. Even when they ran out, their kid ran out in the fourth quarter to start the fourth. He ran out that weird 3 big lineup again. He ran Dinwiddie, Bullock, and then Bertans, Kleba, Powell. And even with them out there, they were getting out rebounded. So I think within a minute and a half, he moved on from that lineup. But, kids just trying to throw stuff at the wall and see what sticks. I mean,
what you have to
we
do.
saw early Burke.
Yeah.
We talked about that. Was that going to be?
Man, I was so excited, too, when he came in and hit his first
we
three.
could
It's like,
tell.
oh, yes, I was
we were
right.
getting Iverson.
Yeah, it didn't turn out that way, though, the rest of the way.
No, but it's trying new things, and I think that's something we want to see from Kid and, from your coach in general, is just don't keep banging your head against the wall and seeing if it's going to stay the course or if it's going to get better. They're trying different things. And I mean, it can't be said enough that they are now 1-1, with Luka out. If you had told me after the Sunday night game against San Antonio that they were going to be able to split their first 2 without Luka there, I would have taken that in a heartbeat.
Amen, man.
100%.
Because I was distraught after that when I saw Luka was down.
I do seem to remember that distraught was definitely part of our postgame show last week,
and
it was very demoralizing. I mean,
it was
right.
for sure.
Yeah.
And now I'm giddy. I don't know what this means for Game 3 because obviously Luka's status is still a question mark, but going down 0-2 would have been absolutely demoralizing, especially after this team had to play their ass off just to get a home court advantage in the first round. And, I guess they technically still lost that because they lost one of the games here.
Yeah, they're going to have to win in a place where they haven't won since 2016 to get it back.
Yeah, and I don't have to do the mental gymnastics of, the Mavs were up 2-0 last year and the Clippers came back and beat them. So maybe they can do the opposite of that this year. The Clippers had to defy so many metrics that were not in their favor, like a lot of 80% of the time they're supposed to lose for that to work. So I did not want to have to convince myself that could be something.
It's a lot easier to do this without having to go through mental gymnastics.
And
now,
again,
at this point,
like I said after last game, I'm positive if Luka's on the floor in either of these games, they either last game win or win this game more comfortably.
Well, look what it took for them. Now, I'm curious how you'll feel about this part of it because tonight the Mavs made 22 threes, the most they've ever made in a playoff game. They turned the ball over tonight 3 times. That ties an NBA playoff record for fewest turnovers in a game. By the way, it was just done the other day by Philadelphia in the first game of that series with Toronto. And that's the 7th time that it's happened in NBA playoff history since 2005 that a team, now the 8th with Dallas tonight, the 8th time in NBA playoff history that a team has only turned it over 3 times in a game.
Wow.
So it took 22 made threes, a team record, only 3 turnovers, an NBA playoff record, and it took Jalen Brunson and Maxi Kleba having the games of their life.
With Jalen Brunson being one of now 5 Mavs with a 40-point
playoff game.
Game?
So Dirk's done it 7 times, Luka's done it 5 times, Rolando Blackman twice, and Nick Van Exel once, off the bench, as a matter of fact.
He would have definitely been the one that took me the longest to name him if I hadn't seen that stat already.
Was the 03? It was 03 Van Exel?
Yep, 03 Van Exel against Sacramento.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, and look, a lot of great things went Dallas's favor tonight to be able to scratch and claw a win at home. And to win one on the road, you just really feel like it's going to have to require the big man getting back on the floor. The phenom. The phenom needs to be back out there now.
But do you feel a little less pressure for him to be out there game 3 now?
I do.
Because even at worst you're going to be down 2-1.
Right.
And if you have Luka come back, you still feel like you're in a good position. So something we kicked around right before you walked in with Maxey is, do you start Maxey moving forward if Luka doesn't play?
Rather than Powell?
Rather than Powell. Yeah. I said that I've been pretty positive.
As long as he's in down the stretch, I think that's what you're looking for.
Yeah, last 5 over first 5 for sure. I think if Luka plays, they'll definitely keep Powell just for the 2-man game. But if Luka doesn't play, do you insert Maxey?
Here's why I wouldn't.
Okay.
I think I would want to protect him from foul trouble in the first few minutes of the game.
Which he will do. He'll get 2 in the first 4 minutes on you.
Yeah, I don't really necessarily recall that happening much. I don't think he has a history of a lot of foul trouble, but I'm just so paranoid about that because I want him on the floor at the end of the game.
Mm-hmm.
So I probably would lean towards doing what they're doing. And look, the starts of their games, whenever Powell has been out there, have not been a problem. I mean, they went up by a few, I don't remember what the margin was, but they were up a little bit in the first quarter on Saturday afternoon, and they were up in the first quarter tonight. So I would probably not do that.
Doesn't change anything?
Yeah, mainly just because, again, I don't want to risk him getting in foul trouble early in the game that might totally compromise what he's available to do for the rest of the game.
We would never want to
particularly
compromise.
late in the game. Yeah,
never compromise.
Yeah, no compromising. Yeah, none of that whatsoever.
So with Luka's status, with them winning tonight and being tied in the series 1-1, I know they would never rush him back. They've said they wouldn't do that. I know they wouldn't. But do you think that maybe they would think of, okay, maybe we can give him another game of rest since we have one already? And I'm sure he wouldn't be playing until he's close to 100%. But do you think that might change their mindset of Game 3 at all?
To use the phrase of the night, I don't think there's going to be any mental gymnastics. I mean, if he can play, he can play. And if he can't play, he can't play. And I don't think there's any need to because this happened, then we can approach it this way. If the dude's ready to step out on the floor and play, he will. If he's not, he won't.
I definitely
think it's no
overanalyze
more.
him
I think it's no more simple than that.
On the sideline when I see him jump. Oh, he's ready. He jumped right there.
He shot the
way
ball.
He waved his towel, he could play tonight. Can we get him a jersey? Probably
he looks so good waving that towel.
Looks good in his hoodies.
Right.
I'd rather him wear a jersey, but looked good on the sideline.
Yes, I mean, I guess, if Luka does not play.
What do you think?
About his prospects of playing Game 3? Or
just to follow up on David's question. Answer your own question, Mino.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I mean, I've never thought that even if they went down 0-2 in this series, which I think we all kind of expected, if we're being honest.
Even at halftime, yeah.
Yeah, at halftime we didn't expect it, but I was thinking, okay, in Game 3 we've got 2 days off. Maybe he's ready and you can take 1 or 2 in Utah, but I mean, my mindset isn't changed, but if he's not I'd be bummed if they were, down 0-2 for sure and he wasn't suiting up for Thursday, but in the long run, we all have to look at this long term of we want him better for next year and throughout his career. If he doesn't play Thursday, it's not going to bum me out too much, mostly just because we've seen them win a game already, even though this was at home and going to Utah is going to be really tough. But, yeah, sticking to the Maxey thing, if he's not playing Game 3, Maxey played 32 minutes, I believe.
Correct. Yep.
I want to see that lineup with him in there for most of the game at the beginning because Dwight, of course, is better on offense with Luka in there, and it seems like he can't get much going, and then when he's in the paint, he's going to get Gobert down there, and driving is going to be a lot harder. When Maxey's in, he'll spread the floor out so you can attack the basket more. You'll get a defender sag down, kick it out for a 3 that you saw tonight.
All of your reasoning
the game plan is
We just have to pray
sound.
that this is not a one-off for Maxey, and this is the breakout game he needed.
And their defenses looked solid this series.
Absolutely, it has.
And it's, away from the rebounding, but their defense is, I don't think that's going to go into a slump. I don't think they're going to have a bad defensive game. Now, Utah could have a better shooting night, but it seems like they're taking that away. And from what Kidd has said, that is what they're trying to take away from Utah is the 3-point.
Yes,
shot.
correct. Because they were
They
second in the league and made threes this year.
And yeah, now we have 2 games to analyze and say, okay, was the first game Utah just didn't play well? Because that was a narrative I think we all went with after game 1 was Utah did not play their best game.
Mm-hmm.
But now we have 2 games of very similar performances from them. I think now we can start to say maybe Dallas is putting Utah in unfavorable positions.
Mm-hmm. They're scrambling.
So
they're playing the way that they have to on defense, and they're scrambling.
Yeah, so if they can keep dictating the game at least on that end throughout the rest of the series, then even with Luka not out there, I feel like they can continue to remain in games. That was my worry between game 1 and game 2 was Utah was going to figure out how to continue to knock down a number of threes like they did in the regular season. But again tonight, they weren't able to, so that does feel like it's Dallas
but
really
they'll be
impeding them from doing that.
Yeah, they'll be home now. The threes will be a little bit easier to make when they go home. So that's something that's concerning as the series now moves to Utah. But at least they are, look, and our opinions about this all could change between, when we gathered to do this on Thursday night, and I won't be with you guys on Saturday because we'll be, going straight from the arena to the airport to come back home on Saturday. But the vision that we had before the series, is attainable. And that is, okay, I think we all felt like that the writing was on the wall that Luka was not going to play the first 2 games in the series. Mm-hmm. And so it's like, can you find a way to split the first 2 games? And then can you get Luka riding in like the cavalry for game 3, which we still don't know if that's going to happen. But, if so, you'll get 2 shots in Utah with Luka back. And can you win 1? And then can you get this thing to a best-of-3 series where you have home court advantage for games 5, 6, and 7? And I think all of us, if you had said before the series, yep, that's what's going to happen, it's like, well, sign me the hell up for that.
For sure.
Given the boat that they were in, please let that happen.
Yeah, and they've just injected life back into us because we would have been really down in the dumps heading into game 3 if they were down 0-2. And all we would have been doing
put something over this camera. Over here.
Is your mascara runs because you're crying again. But no, I mean, this, like I said, David and I were screaming in there watching the game every time one of the threes dropped or whenever they were actually able to get a rebound because that was such a momentous occasion for them today. But, I mean, it just seems like, this is like the kind of shot in the arm Mavs fans needed after the Luka injury after the Spurs game. I mean, like, even this, we have like over 1,000 people watching us do this just because
everybody.
People are so excited. It's awesome.
Hi.
It's so fun to be able to talk about meaningful basketball because I was, 2 weeks ago or whatever, 3 weeks ago, whenever we were starting to ramp up for the playoffs, I was anticipating actually watching good Mavs playoff basketball again.
Yeah.
We haven't experienced that, at least out of the first round, in a decade.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the series against the Clippers were fun. The bubble one was interesting. I didn't know what to make of that. Last year was obviously heartbreaking, going up 2-0, being up so big in Game 3, losing Game 7.
The bubble was get some experience.
Yeah.
That's how I felt.
But even then,
that.
they weren't playing in front of fans. I think there was one game where I was up in the corner on Zoom. My sweater
I forgot
vest
about
on.
that.
I forgot. You did.
Virtual fans.
You were a virtual fan.
Yeah. But, I mean, now.
At the WWE Thunderdome.
Now it feels like, okay, this is the perfect opportunity for the Mavs to, and I guess Luka on some level too, to get the monkey off their back, to make some noise. That doesn't necessarily mean it's going to end in a title run, but give us something to keep us moving, forward each year because, obviously a first round exit's going to be a big disappointment. I don't know what to make of it now with Luka not playing in the first couple of games, but I was looking forward to some energetic basketball, and they gave us that tonight.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm super thankful for it because it was so much fun.
And the West is just so open this year also, with Phoenix, of course, being the team to beat. But, if this team is healthy and Luka's here, and that's kind of what we were saying all season, is you can definitely make some noise this year in the playoffs. I
gotta admit, man, over the weekend, more sad clown face happened for me whenever Denver got handled pretty easily by Golden State, and then Memphis lost to Minnesota, and I was like, damn it, if they were the 3rd seed, how would we be feeling about this whole thing? Instead, they got the most difficult matchup that they could have in games without Luka, because Gobert, Utah is just uniquely positioned with Gobert to play the Mavs, in the most optimal way possible on defense, because he can handle the paint by himself. So all of those things that Luka does that require so much attention and that Gobert can't single-handedly take care of by himself, you feel like he can take care of everything when he's not out there. And so, yeah, it was, it was so demoralizing to, A, not have Luka, and B, realize, gosh, if you were in the third seed, one game away from it. Thanks a lot, San Antonio and New Orleans, for packing it in the last weekend of the season. But, look, worrying about Phoenix and having to play them in the second round is a worry that I gladly will take at this point.
Yeah, I guess you worry about that when you get there.
Yeah. So that would mean that you have won this first round series, obviously, when you didn't have Luka for at least 2 games of it, and forcing you to have to win at a place. I know Justin doesn't get as concerned about this as I do, but and I think there's merit to your thought. And for people who don't know what we're talking about, the Mavs have not won a game in Utah since 2016. And we brought this up the other night, and I think Justin's point has legitimacy to it in that it's not this team's fault that Wesley Matthews and Dennis Smith Jr. and Nerlens Noel couldn't win games up in Utah in the past.
Yeah, they're having to atone for the sins of their forefathers.
Yeah. So, I certainly do understand what you're saying, but it's still, look, it's a hard place to go play well and win a game. Now, Utah came here and won a game. Now, obviously, there were mitigating circumstances to it, but Utah's home record was the same as Dallas's this year, 29-12. So that's kind of what some of the numbers that you're facing and the obstacles that you're facing when you go up there. But if Luka's playing, which we don't know, but obviously that's the big wild card here. That's the X factor.
Again, the way I saw him walking around, I'm
ready.
At least he's
I
making
only
progress.
dabble in physical therapy as a hobby. But from what I saw,
you look very doctory with your sweater vest on tonight.
Right.
So
I got a prescription pad.
I like
yeah.
it.
I at least, and I don't think that we can all see it with our own eyes when, the media availability portion of practice happens, or tonight before the game. It's not like we're getting fed a line of bull by Jason Kidd. Clearly he is making progress. He's out there doing a little bit right now. Now, did you see the video? A lot of people put this video out. I did. Callie Kaplan, McMahon, several people had video of the shooting that he was doing on the floor before the game tonight. Did you see it by any chance?
I did not.
Did you, Mino?
Yeah, I saw it. He was still favoring it a little bit.
I didn't think he was favoring it. I just didn't think he was doing anything to. Yeah, he was just moving so.
But that's
carefully.
Progress, it's
he's out there doing something. Whether or not that means he's playing in 72 hours, I don't know.
Would you say he's a work in progress or?
Ding. There you go. You had to get one in.
Nicely done. But look, tonight was Harp and I said on the broadcast at the beginning that Brunson and Dinwiddie, and you guys remember what we talked about the other day. Brunson and Dinwiddie got their points in game 1, but the efficiency number was 9 for 24. Brunson was 37%, and Dinwiddie was 40%. Those two guys were 50% shooters, playing as the secondary playmakers alongside Luka this year. And obviously it's a different deal when he's not out there. And so they were okay, but they needed them to be more than okay. You can be okay if Luka's out there, but those guys have to be more than okay. And for Brunson to step forward from the beginning of the game, drive and score 3 straight threes, and it's like, and then to sustain that, because Jalen's had some moments in games in the past where he's come out and he's looked great at the start.
Yeah.
But to sustain it for the entire game, 21 points in the first half, 20 points in the second half, making more plays. I think he was the Mavericks' leading rebounder tonight.
He was with 8.
With 8 rebounds tonight, 5 assists, didn't turn the ball over. The only 3 turnovers that the Mavs had, again, tying an NBA playoff record tonight for fewest turnovers in a game with 3, the only 3 turnovers were all by Dinwiddie. So that was a phenomenal performance by Brunson tonight to go 15 for 25 from the floor. He drove the ball and didn't have fear driving the ball.
He was Luka-esque.
Yeah.
Like we've talked about trying to replicate him, but as far as someone who can score and rebound and get other people involved, this was as close as we're going to see to that.
There was no – remember the other day in game 1, I felt like a lot of his drives were, I'm going to drive it, and then I'm going to stop, and then I'm going to spin on my pivot foot, and I'm going to try to go right and try to go left, and the guy guarding me is not going to buy it, so he's going to crowd me because he knows now I'm stuck.
Yep.
And then you got Gobert over there lurking to do something else, in case by some chance I can, like, pivot my way and maneuver my way around this guy that's defending me, even though I picked up my dribble. There was none of that. Everything was decisive. It's like, I'm going in to score, I'm going in to kick out, I'm gonna get somebody. I'm gonna. If I get a big guy on me, then I'm gonna pull those guys to the perimeter, pull them out to the perimeter, and put it on the floor, and set them up and put it on the floor and beat them. I mean, everything he did tonight was, exactly what you. I cannot think of one possession where it's like, wish he'd have made a different decision.
Yeah, no, there was one play. I remember noting this one to you, where he drove. I think it was Bogdanovich on him. And he drove, and he sold that he was about to go in for a layup so bad that Bogdanovich kept running, and Brunson came to an abrupt halt.
Right, threw on the brakes
and just laid it in for an easy 2. And yeah, I mean, he stopped like what we would assess a top 5 wide receiver being able to do in the NFL draft. It was like athleticism I don't typically see from Brunson.
It's just all these things we're describing. He's the leader of this team when Luka's not here.
Mm-hmm.
And to do that in the regular season is one thing, but to do this, and even though he didn't have a great game 1, he still seemed like he was the leader on the court for the Mavericks.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
And tonight, the best game of his career,
Yep.
to do this when the best player in the world isn't there to put this team on your back like this is, I mean, that's the makings of a superstar. That's what star players in the NBA do.
Yeah, to that point, I was wondering if you were able to see this, Mark. I need to go back and see. I don't know if this was on the telecast or not, but I thought it was kind of odd that Kidd decided to hold his last 2 of his timeouts before the 3-minute mark. He had 4. Normally he lets those, or he likes to take at least one of those and not let them just be wasted.
Right.
But I think he was fully bought into momentum, and they were playing with high confidence, and he let them go. And then there was I forget exactly which possession it is, but the Jazz were shooting free throws, and Kidd yelled out to the court, I think it was to Brunson, "Do you want me to take a timeout?" And whoever it was told him no, and he didn't call a timeout.
Now, players typically they don't want timeouts.
But, I mean, I don't typically see a coach ask the players. He just does it. You know what I mean? And I was wondering if he was asking Brunson, like if he thinks Brunson was.
I didn't see that, but I would bet that would be who he would have asked.
Yeah, that's what I figured. And, yeah, I mean, I figure he doesn't ask, Bertans that. Like, I mean, that's just a couple of people that he probably does. And
you tired?
Someone that likes to use his timeouts, he didn't do that, whereas Quinn Snyder had, 1 left in the last 3 minutes.
How about, one thing that we should note tonight I think that's important is I know that Dinwiddie didn't have an efficient game. He was 6 for 18 and scored 17 points. But the fact that he played from 11:09 left in the third quarter, picking up his 4th foul, and did not pick up a foul for the rest of the game. He was able to play 8 minutes after that in the third quarter before going out, and then came back in early in the fourth quarter and played the rest of the fourth quarter and did not pick up a foul. And I thought, even though his game overall wasn't great, the fact that he was able to stay out there and not, I feel like, be a liability defensively, that he was having to be overly cautious with 4 fouls, but I never saw a moment out there where he got stuck in some sort of situation. It's like, oh, well, I got to give up something. Maybe it happened and I don't recall it, but at least off the top of my head, I do not remember him getting in bad spots defensively where he just had to concede an easy basket because of his foul trouble.
Yeah, and when going into this game, the players that are active on the roster, he'd either be your best or your second best player. When he has a game that isn't his best offensively and you still get a win, says a lot about the team.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't get over Maxey, his night he had tonight. We can't talk enough about that.
He needed it so badly.
Yes.
He needed it. Obviously, they needed it to win, but he needed it just for his own sanity.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about this often. I mean, we all, we love Maxey.
Yeah.
But we also recognize in him, maybe this is part of the reason why we like the guy. Maybe we see a little bit of ourselves in him, because what separates, of course, NBA players, among the many things that separate them
Their
from
height,
the rest of us.
their shoe size,
their athletic ability,
cool hair.
their bank
I can keep
account.
going.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're pretty awesome. I'm kind of jealous of
maybe
every
not-
single one of them.
Maybe not Bogdanovich's hair. I
Yeah.
don't want his hair. He's got.
Well, he
he's
turned
got-
33 today.
He's our
you know,
age, and
so.
he looks like he's at least 15
He's
years
got
older
struggle
than us.
top.
So one of the many things that separates those guys from the rest of us schleps is that they don't typically wear this stuff, in a way that you can see it. And I think kind of what is endearing about Maxey is, and probably to some people also kind of frustrating too, is that I do think that you can see it on him, and you can see it in his play, and you can see it in his body language and his facial expression, is that when it starts going the wrong way, it really, really wears on him. And so we saw, and what's so weird about it is he had 2 great games before the break. So there wasn't anything that should have been in his head over the break, because his 2 best games of the year scoring the ball were the 2 games in Miami and New Orleans before the break. He had 19 and 20 points. And then he just came out of the All-Star break, and, man, he could not hit a bull in the ass with a bass fiddle. And,
Wow,
yeah, so
that was country.
Write that one
I
down.
come back in Bullard, Texas for that one again.
That's Justin Northwest right there.
19% on threes after the All-Star break. Yeah, so you're right. The team needed it, and he needed it for his own sanity as well. I mean, nobody knows, more than him what his struggles have been like, and it was just, absolutely incredible.
Did you notice that in the fourth quarter, the Mavs were switching on to one-on-one possessions with Gobert and attacking him?
Yes, I did.
That's something that I don't remember if I mentioned on a post game or on our show, but teams tend to do that, which is
You
kind of
mentioned
weird.
it Saturday.
It's kind of weird when you have a reigning defensive player of the year. What are you, 3 times?
Yeah,
He got third this year.
Yeah.
Not
Marcus-
often do you
Marcus
see
Smart
that.
won it, yeah.
I'm not. Yeah, I don't know if I'm switching on to Marcus Smart now. He's a perimeter defender versus a big man, but it just seems kind of odd that the Mavs not the only team that have done this. Other teams late in games try to ISO Gobert in one-on-ones and either take him to the hole or shoot a 3 over him.
Well, go at the guy, man. I mean,
Yeah.
look, I think that if you play tentatively on offense, that's exactly what they're trying to get you to do. That's how he dictates the entire game and has such an impact on the game for a non-scorer. By the way, what is going on with him on offense right now?
We noticed the 3 times Donovan Mitchell passed to him, he couldn't finish it.
I mean, he went.
One time he got fouled, but
He's 2 for 6 from the floor. Number one, the guy has only shot the ball 6 times in the series. Now, granted, he's been fouled on some of those, so that's holding down his field goal attempts because he's ended up going to the free throw line. But in 2 games in the series, he shot 12 free throws, of which he's made 9, and he's shot 6 field goal attempts, of which he's made 2. I mean, so his offensively, not that he's he's obviously not a big-time scorer, but just by virtue of being 7-1 and around the rim, I mean, the guy averaged 15 points per game this year.
I imagine he would be a much better scorer if he was in a Mavs uniform than a Jazz uniform, right?
Yeah, maybe. Let's
Talk about that this
I mean,
summer.
just
Talk
in
about
general,
that this summer.
get him, or at least get him.
Knock him out in the first round, so they'll all be pissed off, and
The
then
whole thing will
yeah.
implode.
Yeah, get him one of these things. Either a point guard that likes him, doesn't hate his guts,
Isn't
Or-
holding COVID against him from 2 years
right?
ago.
Or a point guard that passes the ball a lot,
Right.
and he doesn't have either of those. In fact, those 2 things are the same person. So
Amazing.
it's funny because I literally noted early in the game, Donovan Mitchell threw him a lob. Their timing was so off.
Right.
It looked like 2 dudes who have never played together.
Right.
And then there were a couple possessions in the second half where he fed it to Gobert down low, and Gobert couldn't finish it.
But I like the idea. I know this may sound counterintuitive, but why wouldn't you go after the guy? Why wouldn't you go at the guy? Look, the only way you're going to make something happen, I mean, he's going to block some shots. I mean, ask Josh Green. Hey, at least Josh Green went at the guy tonight on that play where he tried to dunk it in the first half. I mean, he got rejected big time, but I want my guys going at a player like Gobert. If you just sit there and ignore a portion of the floor and don't get a player involved that Gobert is guarding or, who would switch onto, then it just messes everything up on offense. It messes up your spacing. It messes up your continuity on offense. I mean, go at the guy and realize, hey, look, we might score on him sometimes. He's going to block some shots, and maybe they'll call some fouls too.
Yeah.
But I think that's a lot better strategy than just sitting there and thinking that I can't do anything because my guy is Gobert is guarding this particular player on the floor.
Yeah, it definitely seemed like the Mavs had that in their head a lot when they were driving of, okay, we got big old Rudy Gobert's in the paint. Am I going to dish it? What are we going to do here? And I guess that's just the presence he has of being Rudy Gobert. They probably don't think that of any other interior defender in the NBA, but you can definitely sense his presence just watching them on TV. At least it worked its way out in the second half with him further out with Maxey on the court, but that was one of the many things in the first half where Game 2 felt like Game 1 to me, where the score felt somewhat similar, even though the Mavericks had a bigger lead in Game 1 and then ended up blowing that, but it just so much of that felt like same story, different game, and then the change in the second half.
Well, speaking of leads, by the way, so tonight, all of the things that were storylines going into the series did come to pass. The Mavericks, who led the league this year in games 1 when they trailed by double digits.
Yep.
The Mavericks were down by 10 at 60-50 tonight. I think that was the only time that they were down by 10 in this game. I believe so, 60-50. So they have another win when down by 10. Utah, on the other side of the coin, was number 2 in the league in blown 10-point leads this year. So they blew a 10-point lead. They were number 2 in the league in blown fourth-quarter leads. They lost 13 games this year when leading going to the fourth quarter. They led 81-77 tonight. The only thing that did not come up was a blown double-digit lead in the fourth quarter because the double-digit lead was in the third.
Yeah, the most it got to tonight was they were up 86-79.
In the fourth quarter?
In the fourth,
yeah. Because it started 81-77, and it got to 86-79. And
it got that when they had the big man lineup.
Yeah. Was it 93-86 as well? Because didn't Dallas go on a 10-0 run at that point?
Yeah, you're right. They had 93-86 with 8:07 left. Yep.
And the way the Mavs are right now without Luka, a 7-point lead. I mean, I know this is not the same thing that happened with Utah down the stretch where they blew 16, 16, and 17-point fourth-quarter leads in the last 2 weeks of the year. But a 7-point lead with 8 minutes to go, given that the Mavs are not at full strength, it doesn't maybe feel like a 16-point lead, but it certainly feels like more than 7. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, when you don't have your best player out there, you're kind of doing the math in your head of, okay, get a stop here, make a 3.
Because I was saying the same thing in the first half. Like, it's great Brunson scoring, but, we talked about this for an hour after the game Saturday. How are they going to keep scoring? I don't see it.
Yeah.
If Brunson doesn't keep playing, out of this world, what are they going to do?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and obviously even tonight that took Maxey playing out of his mind. And I mean, as much as we talked about him, Dodo knocked down a 3 or 2 late. That was huge. Bullock had maybe the flattest 3 I've ever seen go into an NBA basket, but it went in. Like, I mean, they also had huge 3s.
Yeah.
Maxey's the star because he was 8 of 11, but he wasn't the only one that made big 3s.
I mean, he made, 3 in the third and 3 in the fourth, I think is what it was.
Yeah, 3 of 4 in the third quarter.
There was a time in the third quarter when Brunson and Dinwiddie had scored 18 of their 20 points. And then Maxey scored the last 9 points of the third, and then that whole, other people being part of it. Finney Smith, obviously Maxey, those guys were able to give them something else along with what they got from. I think maybe Powell got his only points of the game early in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
So.
And, it was Dorian who, with 2:20 left, made it 107-102 and made me start to really think they're going to close this out. And then Brunson ggets fouled. He makes it 109-102, and then after that they close the door. Let me ask you this, long-term, do you think Brunson, this was a big fun thing to say on social media, maybe at the game or whatever. Oh my God, Brunson made himself a ton of money tonight. Do you actually think he increased his next contract based on his play tonight?
Maybe a little bit.
I think you have to look at the whole playoff picture. If they win a series, especially if Luka doesn't come back, and if they can win a playoff series with Jalen Brunson as your star player,
because that has been the question.
Bag.
Yeah, I think he was going to, he's going to get paid this offseason regardless of what happens in this series.
Well, I saw Brian say you're going to have to back the Brinks truck up for him, which then you start looking at his max contract, which is like 4 for $130.
Well, I don't know that tonight is going to put him in max contract territory.
Yeah.
But I'm sure that it probably bumped the, what do they say, AAV, average annual value?
Yep.
It probably bumped that up a little bit tonight. You know,
Like
Let's pay him.
$25,000.
maybe a little more than $25,000.
It's fun though because that has been
That's something to worry about in the summer.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, just with Brunson though, I mean, he still has some people that question whether or not he should get a big money long-term deal. You know, is he a guy that can carry this team when Luka's out? Well, he didn't single-handedly, but he was a key cog in them winning Game 2 tonight in a game that they could not lose.
Yeah.
If they were down 0-2, even with Luka coming back for Game 3, we would have been pretty upset.
Mm-hmm.
It would have been.
Oh, I think more than pretty upset.
Yeah, we would. I mean, we would have been defeated. I mean, I mean, Luka would have kept me from completely writing them off, but now you're at least, you know, not making me want to jump off a bridge from Game 3.
Yeah, mental gymnastics would have definitely been a big part of the equation for sure.
As I drive by Louisville Lake, I don't feel the urge to just go and rip it right a full 90 degrees.
It's okay, Justin.
Thank goodness.
Everything's going to be okay.
Thank goodness. I'm glad.
All right, we've been on for a while. I'm glad everyone's been hanging out. Do we have any other final thoughts from tonight?
Well, I mean, look, the biggest final thought is stay tuned the next 72 hours. You know, we'll see what they end up doing for practice tomorrow. I think, Wednesday is going to be the important day. There's nothing based on what we saw tonight that would make me think that we would hear any sort of news tomorrow about Luka. What's he able to do Wednesday before they leave Wednesday afternoon to go to Utah to play Game 3 on Thursday?
Is that the next injury report will be Wednesday afternoon?
Wednesday by 5 o'clock Mountain Time. They have to have something out. 5 o'clock local time of wherever the game is the day before. So
is he still icing his leg every 2 hours?
I'm sure he is, yes. Yes. Do you want to volunteer for a shift at
I
this point?
volunteered last Sunday.
And we said, I said
down.
that you were not dependable enough.
Yeah, they were worried I was going to fall asleep on the job.
Brian and I were immensely worried about that, and we still are.
I mean,
I don't know. The fact that you wore a sweater vest
pizza.
tonight, it does.
Professional.
Yeah, you know what? You're all in.
I
are all in.
Just like the T-shirt says.
You are all in.
I should have taped that onto my sweater vest. All in. Well, that was fun. I'm glad we got a game.
It was, man.
I'm glad, we aren't having to trick ourselves into
now the possibility of the thing, like we said, that we would have all been like, please sign us up for that, being 2-2 after 4 games. That's realistically possible. Because I think that, look, if nothing else, I think he's going to play Saturday. I mean, I look and see, surely that's out there. If not, in fact, Thursday. And that's no inside information or anything like that. That is just Followill gut talking at this point. That, and I do think that at least some of the intel and some of the reporting that's been out there has expressed that they felt like that they would have him available for a portion of the series. But all along, that portion of the series was probably not going to include the first 2 home games. So it feels like Game 3 is a toss-up, and Game 4, I mean, I feel pretty decent about the chances of that. But look, that's just my thoughts on it. Who knows?
We also need you to buy into the playoff goatee.
Oh yeah,
I have my playoff goatee. David has whatever that is.
Well, I have a full-time beard.
We would need a $5,000 4K camera to pick up what you got. But it's the effort.
I've got 26 red hairs for Spencer Dinwiddie.
That's what matters is you're trying.
Yeah, that's right.
You're
committed to the cause.
It's the most facial hair I've had in my life. This is like a month of not shaving. I'm trying.
They had to tell
I'm
Jake,
all in. We are all in.
They had to tell Jake that he had a beard, even though Jake saw him for an hour. He didn't know.
Well, the beard came into effect probably about, I don't know, maybe like 9 or 10 years ago or something like that. And so I had to fight through that 1 week to 10-day period when it gets super itchy. And then once you like kind of get past that stretch of time, then everything is back is normal. And so I don't want to like go down that road again. So I'm not sure that I'm just staying with playoff beard. I mean,
He's
playoff
not all
beard.
in.
Don't you hate it when your face gets all itchy because your beard's not there anymore?
Or
because
when
when
you
it
get
tried to grow back,
pimples?
no, when
Trying
it
to
tries
grow.
to grow back in, then
Yeah.
it would
Yeah.
get all itchy again. And I survived it because I tried to grow a beard several times, and every time I would tap out from the itch factor that would start happening in like the 7 to 10 day period. And so I finally made it through, and I've kept it ever since. And I just don't know if I want to like risk going back to that.
If the Mavs win the title this year, will you not shave again until next playoffs?
Not shave period until next
Yep.
playoffs. Man, that would be really bad. Yeah.
I feel like he's
But
going to
it's
have
for
to get
the
back
hair-
to
my
us
hair-
on that
my hair
one.
is too curly. My facial hair is too curly, so it would just
Even better.
it would be a
Castaway over here.
I mean, someone all
Now,
in.
that is a good
Get
beard.
your, get your
That cat,
volleyball. Get Wilson.
Well, you're all in, Justin. I guess it's debatable whether or not I am. So we'll see.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we will be back Thursday
I mean, we're here doing
Here.
a show on YouTube.
in Twitch.
Yeah, on
Twitch
Twitch
and
and
Facebook.
Facebook.
Yeah. Yeah. So we'll be back here
I had,
Thursday.
I had a math teacher in high school that used to do that. Over accent the last syllable of words.
That sounds
Yeah.
super annoying. Did you hit him with your abacus?
It was not a he, and no,
Oh.
I did not do anything to the teacher like that. So no, I was a very good student.
Was it the one teacher
Very.
at your schoolhouse?
I was a very nerdy, very good student. So rarely, if ever, got in trouble. And if I did, then all of a sudden it was like, oh, well, this is so out of character for Mark. We're going to have a parent-teacher conference. It's like, oh, no, not that. Damn it.
All right, let's get out of here. Like I said, we'll be back Thursday, hopefully after a Game 3 win in Utah. We'll be back on Twitch, YouTube, Facebook. Thanks for hanging out with us. We had so many people watching. It was awesome.
Appreciate
What a
y'all.
fun game to watch. And do that on a game.
Yes.
Do that in a game. Good shot there.
We have
by
to save our
Brunson.
requests for something good.
That was a 3. Yeah.
3 points.
Slam dunk by Powell.
Oh, my God. Harp would strangle you.
All right,
be
one
great.
time. It's going to happen once on Thursday.
Perfect. That's what
Well,
we
this
need.
is- I'm going to, and it's going to be like my special shout out to Monty, Mino, and however many P1s are on tonight.
Love it.
Listen for the
Hell
over
yeah.
accentuated last syllable of a word at some point in time on Thursday.
All right, let's get out of here.